This had been their first regular season matchup against Boston, and they had been playing well most games. This was a glitch. They would move on. Then it was time to face the press. At that moment, Shane would have preferred to see a pack of starving wolves enter the room, but he knew there was no avoiding the reporters. They always wanted to talk to him specifically after every game, and especially after games where he faced Rozanov. He pulled his sweat-soaked jersey off over his head, so the CCM-branded athletic undershirt would be seen on camera, part of his endorsement contract. A semicircle of cameras, lights, and microphones formed around him. "Hey, guys," Shane said tiredly. They asked their boring questions, and Shane gave them boring answers. What could he even say? They'd lost. It was a hockey game, and one team lost, and that team was his team. "Do you want to know what Rozanov just said about you?" one of the reporters asked gleefully. "Something nice, I assume." "He said he wished you'd been playing tonight." The crowd of reporters was silent, waiting. Shane snorted and shook his head. "Well, we play in Boston in 3 weeks. You can let him know that I will definitely be at that game." The reporters laughed, delighted that they had gotten their Hollander versus Rozanov soundbite for the night. An hour later, showered, changed, and finally alone, Shane drove himself home. Not to his Westmount penthouse, but to the one nobody knew about. Shane only spent a few nights a year at the small condominium in the plateau. It was where he went when he wanted to be sure of total privacy. He parked in the tiny lot behind the 3-story building, let himself in the back door, and quickly climbed the stairs to the top floor. He knew the other 2 floors were unoccupied because he owned those too. The bottom floor was rented to a high-end kitchenware boutique, which had closed for the night hours ago. The condo on the 3rd floor looked like it was a demo condo that had been decorated by a professional house stager. Technically, this was the condo that would be used to sell this one and the one below it. If Shane was ever interested in selling, which, he told himself, he definitely would be doing. Soon. He had been telling himself this for over 3 years. He went to the stainless steel fridge and took out one of the 5 bottles of beer, the only things in the pristine refrigerator. He twisted the cap off and set himself on the black leather sofa in the living area. He sat in silence and tried to ignore the way his stomach churned on nights like this one. He drank his beer quickly, hoping the alcohol would help at least numb the disappointment he felt in himself, the disgust at his own weakness. He needed to dull it because he knew he sure wouldn't be doing anything to fix this mess. He'd been trying for over 6 years. The knock at the door came almost 40 minutes later. It had been enough time that Shane had almost convinced himself to leave, to put an end to this foolishness. But of course he hadn't. And if the knock had come hours later even, Shane would still have been on that sofa waiting for it. He opened the door. "What the fuck took you so long?" he asked, annoyed. "We were celebrating. Big win tonight, you know." Shane stepped back to let the tall, smirking Russian man into the apartment. "I got away as soon as I could," Rozanov said, his tone less teasing. "Didn't want to draw attention, right?" "Sure." And that was the last word Shane got out before Rozanov's mouth crashed into his. Shane gripped his leather jacket with both hands and pulled him closer as he kissed Rozanov breathless. "How long do you have?" Shane asked quickly, when they had broken apart for air. 2 hours, maybe." "Fuck." He kissed Rozanov again, rough and needy. God, he needed this. This horrible, fucked-up thing. "You taste like beer," Rozanov said. "You taste like that horrible gum you chew." "It's so I don't smoke." "Shut up." They grappled and maneuvered each other until they reached the bedroom, where Shane shoved Rozanov roughly against a wall and continued kissing him. He felt the familiar slide of his rival's tongue in his mouth, and slid his own tongue over teeth that had been fixed and replaced God knew how many times. He wanted a lot tonight, but they didn't have time for a lot. Rozanov grabbed him and pushed him down on the bed. Shane watched the other man drop his jacket on the floor and pull his T-shirt off over his head. A gold chain hung crookedly around Rozanov's neck, the shiny crucifix resting on his left clavicle.